You can do it! And if you can't, no one gives a shit. Let me ask you a question. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? See, I see this all the time where people say, if this, then that. If this happens, if I learn this trait, if I close this deal, if I have this money, then I will attempt this one thing that I really want for myself. Here's what I want you to realize. That magical moment very rarely happens. And because of that, you never even attempt the things that you want to accomplish for yourself, and you're letting yourself down. Here's the thing. Ultimately, when I look across the past 14, 15 years of me being an entrepreneur, there's so many things that I've attempted. So many things that I went out and quite frankly, didn't even have a strong reasoning as to why I wanted to do it. It's just, hey, this is something I want to do for myself. And ultimately, no one really cared whether it failed or succeeded except for me. And so when I look back at it, it's like, man, there's so many things I'm glad I at least attempted. Because at the end of my days, I want to look back and say, man, I really wish I would have done that. I really wish I would have tried to be on TV. I really wish I would have written a song. I really wish I would have done a podcast. Now I can say, I've done all of those things. Did all of them succeed? No. A good example of this is starting the podcast. I started a podcast back in 2017, and at the time, I had zero experience. I had only listened to 2 podcasts ever. They were the 2 podcasts that I've been a guest on. I had only been a guest on 2 podcasts, the Joe Fairless podcast and Don Costas podcast. I'd been a guest. Then I decided I wanted to give back because I was so grateful for what real estate investing and wholesaling had done for us in our career and my life that I just wanted to start talking about it. I wanted to interview people. However, I was terrified of being on camera. So I did audio only because I was like, well, if I do audio only, maybe I'll get better at it. However, the podcasts early on, they had to be scripted because I couldn't free flow. I was nervous the entire time. So I simplified it down and I just basically asked guests early on very basic questions. What do you do? How do you do it? And why? And because of that, the podcasts were very generic. However, I gained confidence over the course of just reps, putting in those reps, interviewing people over and over and over again. And eventually it got to the point where I started diving a little bit deeper, feeling a little bit more confident in myself. And then it got to the point where I was like, hey, let's turn the camera on. Maybe I'm not afraid of this little light in my face. Maybe I'm not afraid of you seeing the way that I look. And from there, now I've created over 2,000 videos, had millions of views, and helped change people's lives. And in the meantime, my life has changed. Now, what if I had been afraid that I was going to suck at something that, quite frankly, I did suck at the beginning? Now, how does this correlate to your business? Maybe you don't want to start a podcast, but maybe you're afraid to comp deals on the phone with sellers. So you're elongating your sales process by getting out the phone because you're afraid that you're going to make a mistake, that you're going to fail. And what's happening? You're failing yourself more than anybody because you're not even willing to put in those reps. Here's the thing. You can do anything that you put your mind to. You can sit there and you can say, I'm going to comp this property on the phone, even if it takes me 15, 20, 25 minutes. Because if you're talking to a truly motivated seller, they're going to give you that time. It's okay. It's okay not to be perfect today because putting in those reps, you're going to get better over the course of time. Same thing with the TV show. I was so afraid about so many different things. What would my colleagues say? What would my peers say? What was my family going to say? Were we even TV worthy? Was it going to be entertaining? What would the general public say? Would there be haters that would come along and be like, who's this fat bearded guy and who gave him the opportunity to be on TV? Oh, that was an actual tweet. Guess what? Nobody gave a shit. That one little tweet, who cares? There were hundreds of people that reached out to me and said, dude, that was awesome. It was entertaining. I can't wait to watch y'all's next episode. Just recently, inside of the past 6 months, I've connected with one of my favorite bands, Dropout Kings, and I've written 2 songs, The King Closer and 11 out of 10. You can find them on Spotify. Actual songs. I am not musically talented. I cannot sing. I cannot play an instrument. However, I found a way to do something that I'm extremely passionate about. I love listening to music. So I found a way to connect with a band that I absolutely love. And I said, let's write music together. And now because of it, I'm writing songs all the time. And it's like, but why? Because at the end of the day, I want to look back and say, I did that for me. It's something that I wanted to find passion in. I wanted to express myself. I wanted to say, look at something I created. That's part of being an entrepreneur. However, the other part of being an entrepreneur is you have to have an extreme high tolerance for the risk of failure. There's always the possibility that I could have released those songs and everyone could have said, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I could have gone on TV and those producers could have said, dude, you just don't have a personality. Like, this is not entertaining. The facts are, we released 1 episode of Zombie House Flipping on TV and got canceled. Was it bullshit? Was it for me wearing a hoodie that had a symbol on it that I had no idea anyone was going to take offense to? Absolutely. And we got fired. But guess what? It's like Jamil Damji told me. He said, no one can ever take away from you the fact that you were on national television, and the majority of people out there will never get that opportunity. What opportunities are you taking away from yourself because you're afraid that you might get fired for not being good? Here's the thing. When we got canceled, the majority of people that were remotely close to me in my life didn't even know it. The next Saturday when our episode was supposed to roll out, episode 2, I got like maybe 10 or 15 text messages, maybe a phone call for people saying, hey, where's your next episode? The majority of people just thought we were still on TV. No one really cares about your success or your failure. That's your job to care about that. Now, are there people that rely on us succeeding? Our family, our kids, our employees, our teams? Absolutely. And we want to make sure we're always putting ourselves in the position to succeed a lot more than we fail. But don't look back 20 years from now and say, I never even got started in wholesaling. I see it. People will comment, I've been following you for years, RJ. If you've been following me for years, yet you haven't taken any action, what are you waiting on? That magical moment is not coming. You have to create that magical moment right now by saying, I'm not waiting any longer to get started. Well, I want to see what happens with the market after this election. Who cares? There's still going to be an opportunity for us no matter who wins in that election. Well, I want to see what happens with the interest rates. Guess what? We've wholesaled deals when the interest rates were low, record lows, and we've wholesaled deals when the interest rates have gone up and they spiked back up. Because we consistently take action to create the reality that we want for ourselves. Are you doing the exact same thing, or are you always waiting on some moment to give your permission to chase your dreams? Because stop doing that. Start doing it today, because by God, what I wanted for myself in 2017 is not necessarily the exact same things I want for myself now in 2024. I've opened up possibilities for new things where I chase after new dreams, because I'm always going after it. And I'm saying, let's attempt that. Let's start that podcast. Let's do the TV show. Let's write a song. Let's do a YouTube channel. Let's start Titanium University. And along the way, as we broaden our horizons and we do more things that we're passionate about, suddenly new passions become available. New dreams that we have for ourselves. I absolutely love every single day that I get to have an implementation call with Titanium University, and I get to hear these people achieving their dreams in wholesaling that I achieved back in 2014 and 2015. Yet I didn't have the support system. So now where I find that passion is by being that support system for them and helping them implement the education that we're giving them inside the university. This is a product of us going out there and saying, what would I attempt if I knew I couldn't fail? However, the way I look at it is what do I want to attempt, and I don't care if I fail along the way. What if no one ever signed up for Titanium University? That first class, we said, we're going to take on 30 people. What if only 15 people had signed up? Would that have been considered a failure? Should we have just not attempted? We had no idea how many people were going to sign up. The first ever Crucible that we did, we had 6 people show up. The next one, 25. Eventually, we got up to where we had 40 and 50 people showing up. We could have given up after that first quote-unquote failure. But at the end of the day, no one really cared how many people were sitting in this office during that first Crucible. No one really cares how many people sign up for Titanium University, except for us. That's a self-imposed deadline or metric that we're putting on ourselves. So if you're sitting there today and you know that there is something that you want to attempt in your life and you're not doing because you're waiting on a magical moment, stop. Take that action today. Go out and chase your dreams and make it a reality, because you can do it. Don't fall into the fear of what society is going to say to you, what your family is going to say to you, what your friends are going to say to you. The only thing that they should be saying to you is I want you to go out and achieve what you want for your life. So at the end of your days, when you look back, you can say everything that I ever wanted to do, I did. Otherwise, you have the wrong people surrounding you. So I'm here to tell you today that you can absolutely do whatever it is that you've been waiting on to do. Get started, go out, create your own reality. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I don't know if I left anything out. Just had to get this off my chest. It was a beautiful Sunday. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.